Hello, and welcome to the Scott Smith blog and the Catholic Nerds podcast. This is Scott Smith. Today we're going to be talking about 7 times science has confirmed the Bible, correlations between Scripture and science. Here are the most significant examples of science actually, maybe begrudgingly, proving the events of the Bible. Number 1. The Big Bang and the priest who discovered it, Father Georges Lemaitre. What is unique about the Bible's description of creation? Apart from all the other world religions and mythologies, the Bible describes the universe being created from nothing, or ex nihilo. Up to the 20th century, scientists believed in the steady state model of the universe. The steady-state model posited a universe in which the stars occupied fixed points in space. The discovery of Hubble flow, redshift, blueshift, and the Doppler effect changed all this. Science realized the universe was expanding. Physicist and priest, Father Georges Lemaitre, then posited the theory that not only is the universe expanding, but that such expansion in reverse traces back to a single point. The single point was the site of the Big Bang. Lemaitre's theory was dismissed as the, quote, Christian theory, unquote. Even Einstein is on record dismissing Lemaitre's theory. Most all scientists dismissed Lemaitre's theory. That is, until they didn't. The theory soon gained rapid acceptance, and the Christian theory has remained the most prevalent theory to this day for the origins of the universe. It makes you wonder then, if there were a Big Bang, was there also a Big Banger? Stay tuned. We'll see if science can ever get this far. It only took science thousands of years to reach the truth God gifted us with thousands of years ago. Number 2. Mitochondrial Adam and Eve. Is genetics confirming Genesis? Did you know there is scientific evidence for Adam and Eve? That is, a common matrilineal ancestor and a common patrilineal ancestor for the entire human race? First they said Genesis, Eden, and Adam and Eve were just a, quote, miserable myth, end quote. Then something strange started to happen. Evidence started to stack up that all mankind originated in the same place, the out-of-Africa model. Genesis was still just a myth, though, regarding our common ancestry through Adam and Eve. Then something strange started to happen. Genetic evidence started to stack up for a common matrilineal ancestor, mitochondrial Eve. Genesis was still just a myth, though, regarding Adam. Then something strange started to happen. Genetic evidence started to stack up for a common patrilineal ancestor, Y chromosome Adam. Genesis was still just a myth, though, because Adam and Eve were still separated by huge gulfs of time, if not geography and distance. Then something strange started to happen. Evidence began to stack up that Adam and Eve may have lived on the planet at the same time. But Genesis was still just a myth because Adam and Eve were certainly not the only humans around at the time and certainly never met. Then something strange started to happen. For a more in-depth look at how genetic science is slowly confirming the existence of Adam and Eve, our common ancestors, check out the link I've provided below to the full article and citations. Number 3. Proof of Noah's flood in the Black Sea. Basically, every world religion and mythology includes an account of a Noah-like character and the Great Flood. Babylonian mythology has Utnapishtim. Greco-Roman mythology has Deucalion. Hindu mythology has Manu, who also builds an ark. Chinese mythology has the Gun-Yu flood. Ojibwe Native American mythology has Nanabosho. So there are multiple independent corroborating accounts of a great flood? Well, of course modern scholars are going to dismiss the idea out of hand. While archaeology has not confirmed a flood which blanketed the entire world, it has shown that a flood covered the entire known world of the biblical peoples. Archaeologists have found ancient settlements under the Black Sea, proving that the footprint of the Black Sea used to be much smaller, until a flood happened. A great flood. I provided links below so you can read more about the Black Sea Deluge hypothesis. So here's the interesting part. Where did the water come from? This Black Sea evidence is especially interesting because it confirms certain details of the biblical account of the Great Flood. Genesis 7, verses 11 through 13, describes the water coming from two places, the deep and the sky. Quote, "All the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened, and rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights." End quote. The floodwaters came from the great deep. But how? This makes a lot more sense in the context of the geological account of the Black Sea Deluge hypothesis. A key component of this hypothesis is that a land bridge separating the Black Sea from the Mediterranean Sea broke apart. This resulted in the Bosporus Strait, which now connects the two bodies of water. The breaking of that land bridge would account for the waters welling up from the deep and quote, bursting forth, end quote. Number 4. Abraham and camels. Archaeological proof for Abraham. It's hard to overstate the importance of Abraham in world history. His two sons, Isaac and Ishmael, are counted as the forebears of 3 of the world's greatest religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. That's half the world's population right there. A couple decades back, and even to this day unfortunately, modern academics claim to have disproven the Bible's account of Abraham. They claimed Abraham was just a fictional invention, or at the very best, his impact was greatly exaggerated. Why do this? Scholars claimed Abraham was exaggerated to help the Jews make a claim for their lands in Israel. Great! Nothing like a healthy dose of anti-Semitism to give heft to a scholarly argument. So what proof did these scholars have to justify completely rewriting history? Camels. Pesky camels took down world history. Or did they? The account of Abraham's caravans in Genesis 24 included camels. Wrong, they said. Unfortunately for Abraham, there were no domesticated camels in the Middle East until the 10th century BC, at least according to one 2014 study. This would mean Abraham's camels were 1,000 years out of place. Can you guess what happened? Archaeologists later discovered artifacts proving the existence of domesticated camels in Abraham's time and long before, proving again what Genesis had told us all along. Hey, maybe not be in such a rush to attack the Word of God next time. For the full article and citations, I've provided a link below. Number 5. King David's Not-So-Little Kingdom and Abraham's trading routes, confirming the geopolitical importance of ancient Israel. Just like above, modern academics are trying to diminish the importance of Abraham, his legacy, and all of Israel itself. Israel was just a little bywater among clashing empires, right? Tales of Solomon's riches and David's kingdom are just biblical exaggerations, right? Nope. Recently, a 9,000-year-old Stone Age settlement was discovered near Jerusalem. See the link below. What does this tell us about the Israel of Abraham's time some 5,000 years later? Was ancient Israel truly such a small, unimportant place? If so, why was one of the largest Stone Age settlements ever found located there? Also, if the biblical accounts of Abraham's international trade are a hoax, how could there be proof of extensive international trade found in Israel 5,000 years before Abraham even arrived? Check out this description of the artifacts found in the Stone Age settlement. Other unearthed objects suggest that inhabitants enjoyed trade or contact with the outside world. Seashells from the Mediterranean and Red Sea were found among the discoveries, as was obsidian, a type of volcanic glass from Anatolia in present-day Turkey. This clearly indicates that Israel was located on ancient international trade and caravan routes, thousands of years before Abraham, as discussed in the previous article about Abraham and camels. More on that point, do modern scholars really expect us to believe that these international trade routes through the Middle East were entirely devoid of camels for 5,000 years? I've provided a link below to the full article and sources. Number 6. The Resurrection and the Shroud of Turin. There is a great deal that can be said about the Shroud of Turin. For example, when analyzed by military equipment that creates 3D topographical maps from aerial and satellite photography, paintings render as a messy, distorted, and undecipherable image. Not the Shroud of Turin. The shroud renders as a perfect 3D image of a man's body. But how could such an image be created? It would require a great surge of energy. But what in first century Palestine could have created such a surge of energy? Nothing really, except maybe the power of God resurrecting Jesus Christ. I've provided a link below to another video that thoroughly examines the evidence for this. That alone is pretty incredible, but that's just the surface of what the Shroud of Turin can provide evidence-wise. For example, image analysis technology has really advanced over the last decades. Instead of disproving the Shroud of Turin's authenticity, the advancements in technology have resulted in the Shroud providing more and more evidence of the Bible's account of the resurrection. Analysis of the Shroud using a microdensitometer has resulted in the discovery of the imprints of a death certificate on Jesus' face. I've provided another link below thoroughly examining this evidence. Number 7. Apparitions of the Virgin Mary, Our Lady of Guadalupe. Here's a sampling of all the scientific investigations into the miraculous image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. These are described in full in an article I've linked to below. Our Lady of Guadalupe's eyes reflect the figures in the room when the image appeared and at the perfect radius of curvature for the human lens. Satellite imaging expert Dr. Aste Tonsman studied the image using image digitization. On inspection of Our Lady of Guadalupe's corneas, Dr. Tonsman saw a series of people and objects. An Indian unfurling a tilma before a priest, another young man, a half-naked Indian with his lips open and his hands together, pieces of furniture, a ceiling arch, and other details. Also, the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe should have deteriorated, faded, and turned to dust a long time ago. The image of Our Lady of Guadalupe appears on a tilma made of cactus fibers. The natural lifespan of a cloak made with the fiber from the agave or maguey plant is only about 30 years. Despite this and a bomb blast, the image has remained intact with all its original color and vibrancy for over 475 years. Dr. Adolfo Orozco, a physicist, said that the remarkable preservation of the cloak of St. Juan Diego on which Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared 478 years ago, quote, is completely beyond any scientific explanation, end quote. And that's just a sampling of all Our Lady of Guadalupe has to offer. For the full in-depth article and sources, I provided a link below. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and all the links below to the Scott Smith blog. Also, if there's anything that also deserves to be mentioned, please tell us in the comments below. Don't believe all this? Tell us in the comments below. Also, don't forget to click that red button and subscribe to this channel so you can see all future videos from the Scott Smith blog about theology, science, and nerd culture. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget to share this video too, and the Catholic Nerds podcast.